Namaste, Hariom. My name is Karate. I've also been referred to as Virtual Nexus. I come with a distinguished career for as profound technical companies such as Amazon, Microsoft, Walmart, and a variety of other Dell, a variety of like Department of Energy, Department of Defense. I've worked under secure and insecure environments all over the world. One of my most recent and greatest claims to fame is the migration of Capital One from closing 3 data centers to the first bank to go all into the public cloud. Did that for several years. Then I actually did security architecture for banks other than other FinServ companies such as CME, Fidelity going into the cloud, and then also healthcare organizations controlled regulated, semi-regulated industries. Finally, I did AWS security. And now I am essentially retired. I trade crypto and day trade for a living. Yes, it's been many years coming. I have an MBA in finance and a master's in cybersecurity from George Washington. I actually dropped out of Berkeley to join the Army. So now you know a little bit about me. After that, I finished my degrees. I'm here to talk to you today about Interpretive Letter 1170, July 20th, or so July 2020. This is under Acting Secretary or Acting Comptroller of the Currency, Brian P. Brooks. Brian Brooks was the counsel for Coinbase, and before that, Fannie Mae, which is interesting. No, I didn't meet him while being here in D.C. where I am right now, but he's a pretty profound and forward-looking individual. He's got a degree from Harvard University and a law degree from the University of Chicago. The man is no slouch. So why I'm here to read this letter to you today is, and I've dedicated to crypto Twitter, and the people I know from such as like DevCon 3, the heady days of 2017, Bitcoin as far back as 2013 and 2012. I've been involved. So what do I have to say about that? Well, it's neither here nor there, and I don't want to get too much into that. But I will, if you want to check my cred, here's one of my hardware tokens. Sorry, it's a hardware key. What is a hardware key? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. So what this interpreter letter does and why it broke on the crypto industry, what I say, it broke like a wave, but that seems redundant. What it did and what it does is it authorizes banks, and it's a response letter to a potentially some member bank of the United States, either a national bank, a state bank, it's probably a national bank, where they requested guidance on custodian of cryptocurrency and things related to it. So what is cryptocurrency? Well, cryptocurrency is a set of cryptographic keys, okay? There's a private key and there's a public key. You distribute the public key to everyone and you keep the private key hidden. The private key has the ability to sign transactions. What does it mean? That means that you basically perform a function that hashes, okay, divides, subtracts, multiplies, does a variety of operations on the binary bits of some file. Then it signs them using its private key, which produces a math value, signs that hash. Okay? Then it sends it to the blockchain, which actually every blockchain in the world, every node on a blockchain has to certify that transaction. That is a blockchain transaction. Cryptocurrency is created when a cryptocurrency miner mines, it does a bunch of math, and it comes up with this number, which has a certain number of leading zeros, for example. That's a difficulty level. And when it gets that number, it gets some cryptocurrency rewarded. Okay, that node has a private and public key. Once it gets that wallet, that account on the blockchain holds that currency. Then when that private key signs it and sends it to another account on the blockchain, the other account now holds that cryptocurrency. That's cryptocurrency in a nutshell. I will tell you again, what is cryptocurrency? It is a series of mathematical operations that produces a number of tokens that are assigned to a wallet. The wallet that has control of these is the private key. That private key in my hardware token here, or one of my hardware tokens, I have many, is actually, this is a tamper-resistant piece of hardware that stores the keys. The private key never leaves that device. It cannot come out of this. Some of them are more secure than others, but it's very similar to what's called a hardware security module. What is a hardware security module? That is a tamper-resistant piece of hardware that holds keys, usually in a data center. And then there's also a bunch of rules on who can operate the hardware security module. The tamper resistance has to do with FIPS certifications, okay? And that means that if someone tries to break it open, all right, it destroys all the key material. There's a variety. There's rules on what has to happen when it's attacked, how it can be accessed, how it can be verified, and then it actually has to have it's like an EAL level. It's all these levels of the U.S. government. It's certifications. Okay, there's other ones out there. Those are the only ones I'm aware of. Have I worked with them before? Yes. I've worked with them in the private sector in banking, and I've worked with them in the Department of Defense. Okay, those are areas I've dealt with cryptographic key material. Okay, you have to have a clearance to generally handle these things, or you have to have a public trust certification if you're in government. And that's, where I learned these things. Then also PCI DSS, which is the payment card industry, I think it's digital security standards. Yeah. Those are the rules for all the credit card processors to hold credit card information. So I'm going pretty deep here. I know this is a tendency of mine, but why I'm doing this is because of the internet. You're like, the internet made you do it. Yes, the internet made me do it. How did the internet make me do this? Well, the funny thing about the internet is even in the age of information, most of what you get out there is some guy or some gal reading something written by someone who heard about someone who spoke about something, who read about someone who heard about something, about someone who may have actually performed an experiment or gathered some data. Okay? It's just like when you study religion these days. You say, how's this like religion? Well, most of the people you know have no knowledge of God firsthand. What does that mean? I don't mean they haven't met God per se, or maybe they have, okay, but they haven't realized God. They don't even know anyone who has. For example, Jesus. There's not a person alive that we know of who ever met Jesus, okay? Most of what you're reading is stuff written down by a guy who met Jesus, okay? But not even that. It's written by a guy who met a guy who wrote down about Jesus, okay? Did the apostles actually write anything down? Well, they did actually. And there were some scrolls discovered in 1948 in Nag Hammadi, Egypt, and they were written on animal skins, and they were written in 200 AD. So even then, the apostles themselves didn't write them, but somebody who knew them wrote them, or somebody who knew them. So why am I mentioning this? I'm mentioning this because the internet is one gigantic repository of fake news, okay? Of telephone is what it is. Human beings love to tell stories. And we love to communicate verbally. It's part of who we are, okay? Narrative is really what this is all about. So please do not, poo-poo is the word, but what is the word? There's actually a word for this, which I'll come to. And that is that you don't want to undermine or undervalue or detract from the value of narrative. Because narrative changes. It's a living, breathing thing, just like mythology. And it allows humanity to change with the times. It allows us to discuss certain archetypes. The archetype of a man leaving home, of initiation, or women in this case. Okay? Although the journey for a woman is different from a man. Why, you say? Is that sexist? No, it's not, because men and women are not the same. We have different challenges, okay? Completely different challenges. Now, we may do the same things, but the challenge looks different from the inside. So I've hit a lot of things here, and I've, of course, hit what? Like politics, religion, right? What are the three things you're never supposed to talk about? Like, I talk about all three in the first conversation. You'll meet me, because I talk about what matters. So how does this relate to this letter? I read the fucking letter, okay? That's right. I read the letter, and then there's also footnotes. You don't just read the letter. Down on the bottom, there's footnotes you have to look up. So why I did this for you is so that you'll understand something that is very important. Some of the rules and reasoning behind why or the OCC responded to this letter in the affirmative. Yes, you can be a custodian of cryptocurrency, and then also provide transfer and exchange services of cryptocurrency, as well as potentially cryptocurrency that's valued as a security. Why is this? Essentially, it refers to current existing documentation around custodial and fiduciary services of the bank and exchange services. These are normal procedures that the bank already does and that have already been authorized by the OCC to do in a digital fashion. Anything that it does in a traditional fashion in a hardware world and basically a tactile physical world, such as safety deposit boxes, exchanging bearer bonds and securities like that, they can do electronically. OCC has already ruled this and provided guidance, right, in its custody handbook. Okay? And so can federal savings and loans. So to summarize this topic, the OCC letter authorizes banks to do something they've already done physically in the digital fashion with respect to cryptocurrencies that are both currencies as well as securities. Now, I listened to a great talk by Antonio Pompliano, and he was speaking to Caitlin Long. Okay, there was a YouTube talk. I highly recommend you listen to it. And she apprised me to some of the things that banks are having to go to become custodians of crypto. So, of course, she's on the Wyoming train because Wyoming was ahead of everybody in adopting cryptocurrency. Little known fact, Dick Cheney was a senator from Wyoming. I think there's like 2 people. Once Dick Cheney left, there was like 1 person in Wyoming. So it must have been really easy to decide things when he was gone. But once he came back, everything was probably a tiebreaker because nobody agrees with Dick Cheney. All right, all kidding aside, love Wyoming. All right, loneliest highway in the world. Highway 50 goes through Wyoming. Be careful driving. The wind on that thing is crazy. Okay, but Wyoming's ahead on cryptocurrency. Caitlin Long she's applied for a bank charter. She's passed all the requirements that she needs to do for the charter, but has not been given the charter yet. Okay? It takes approximately, I think she said, a year to 15 months. I would guess 15 to 18 months. I have not applied for a charter, although why would I know this? Because I'm a cybersecurity expert that deals with regulation, compliance, risk management, and technology. Okay? So why do you want to know this? Because banks expect a lot of products to be coming online over the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. And as Caitlin Long said, they're probably not going to produce this expertise in-house. They're probably going to buy it in all these banks. They're going to buy it. What does that mean? They're going to hire people like me. Okay? They're going to hire people better than me as well. I know, people who know me. You said, Gautam, there's people better than you? Well, sadly, yes, there are many. Or I shouldn't say sadly, gratefully there are. But they're going to hire people like me who know how to secure digital assets. Okay, now this is going to include a lot of things. I'll give you an example. What about the actual Bitcoin and the blockchain transactional nodes? What about transactions themselves? What about communications between the nodes? What about controls, physical security controls? What about auditing regulations, SOC 1, SOC 2, Type 1 and Type 2 auditing controls? How is this going to be done? Well, someone like me who's worked with the OCC at AWS, now I don't work directly with them. We have a compliance team. But I worked with the team as they were applying it to the infrastructure of Capital One. So I understand how it is that one needs to work with a regulator to become compliant. Okay, there's also auditing rules, recording rules, accounting rules, and I talked about fiduciary duty, okay? Now, fiduciary is the ability to act on behalf of another, okay, and you have to act in their best interest. Okay, there's also, we haven't talked too much about this, but there's investment advisors. I actually took 3 or 4 out of the 5 exams or something for a certified financial planner. But I realized it was 2006. I did it. Everyone was getting into investing. That's when I was getting my MBA in finance. And I realized I didn't want to be an investment advisor for other people. But it's also because the market went belly up right then and there. And curiously, every 8 years, the financial system goes to hell. And the solution is to print $2 trillion in money. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Does it seem like a coincidence? There's some magical solar cycle of 8 years? No, there's not. Although a transit of Venus takes 8 years. It goes through in pairs of 2. It goes in front of the sun. Very interesting. Yes, Mr. Karate is a repository of incredible amounts of both valuable, equally useful, and useless knowledge. So to summarize, this is the OCC letter, okay? When you look on the internet, find someone who has read it and done it, okay? That's what you want to look for. You want to look for someone with practical, theoretical, and academic knowledge, okay? And if you can't, you need to find someone who works with those people. Again, I recommend that podcast, Pompliano and Long. I very much enjoyed it. What a great gal and a great dude. Pomp brings some great people, and I was very impressed with you, Miss Long. Respect, okay? Well, God bless you. I hope to see you in the cryptoverse, and I'm really looking forward to this. This is the biggest change in government decentralization in at least 6,000 years. We're taking the pyramid of masters and slaves, and we're inverting it. All right? to where the customer is king. Amen. Hallelujah.